Hey guys, I'm Nito King, and I'll be your tour guide today for one final descent into the cave of Skops. Today we're going to be taking on Skops the Scorpion himself in Mr. Skops' Stalactites. That's right, big guy, you just look like you're waiting in ambush. We're going to come face to face with you soon enough. This is a pretty short level. As you might have noticed, there's a cage right at the beginning. And when we go for it, we see a number of disappearing cloud ledges. Make sure you skip this one, because that cage is sitting on a bed of spikes. You can't jump onto that ledge. You need something to jump back on. And already, 2 cages, and we only just started the level. It actually is a trend that's going to continue. It's a bit harder than it looks, I think, because everything in this level is grappling hooks and elevators. And spiky ledges here and there. Whenever you see a spiky ledge, there's pretty much going to be a cage there. There's cage number 2 that is actually somewhere safe to stand. And we're at about the halfway point of the level now. I kind of wish I was kidding about that, but no. Again, don't attempt to land on that ledge. You might be able to grab the side of it, but probably easier just to helicopter and get back to the hook you just left. And I'll leave the health there, because I don't need it yet. Cage number 5, well out of the way, and I take a hit for some strange reason. I don't like it, but there it is. Rather tricky jump to make there, and a place that looks like it shouldn't be safe to stand is actually where the last cage is hidden. As if the game didn't throw enough bogus moves at you. But that's it. Chronologically, that is the last cage in the game, and all we have to do is make our way through one last series of elevators. And of course, fight the boss. I don't know why I made the jump just then, but, well, it worked. Here's the final 1-up trophy of the game. From this point, whatever lives you've got, that's what you've got. Although you can go back to earlier levels and farm tings if you want to. It just puts you at some risk, because if you do lose any lives, there go all your tings as well. But you know, we haven't yet encountered the boss outside of the boss battle. We're going to have to fix that. Notice that there's no hit point meter here. It's time to go toe-to-toe with Skops in a battle we can't win. Very simply, dodge the claw and make sure that you stay on the elevators that are not falling into the lava below. Generally, the one on the left is the best place to stand early on. And I jumped a little bit too far out that time. It may be possible to jump up and helicopter and land right back on the ledge again, but I'm pretty sure you need to grab the edge. This time the elevators fall in a slightly different pattern. But there are only about 2 or 3 different patterns. So once you figure out which one it is, you'll know where it's safe to stand and where it isn't. One more claw throw. And it's time for him to crowd us off the ledge. This is a jump that requires a lot of precision. I really don't like it at all. You go too far to the left, you smack into Skops. You go too far to the left, you go into the lava. Right, you hit Skops. Whatever, I got all my directions mixed up. And so does he, apparently, as he shoots the platforms that I'm not standing on. Yeah, it's really effective. Good news is we're almost done here, and none of the rest of this part is particularly challenging. He backs away even though we have no way to hurt him. And we finally reach the end of the chase section and move on to the actual battle. The bad news is I still can't hurt him by punching him, as you may notice. But he shoots these homing shots, which, just like the Firefly in Eat at Joe's, home in on the fist and not Rayman's body. So the idea is to lure the shots over to the right and hit Skops with them. And this is another boss that only has 8 hit points, because it takes forever to actually score a hit. You gotta be thankful for small favors. Unfortunately, the favors are very small in this case, as I've just taken a second hit, and when I was recording this fight, I didn't know how to score the final hit on him without taking a hit myself, because he crowds you over here and there's no room to dodge the shot. I think it may be possible, now that I've had some more time to review this footage over and over again while editing, to shoot before he shoots at you, and get the shot to hit him without ever even coming to the left side of the screen. But that's all retrospect, so otherwise I just had to keep trying this fight over and over again until I could make it through without getting hit more than once. I guess you could always just reset, start the level over, and try to make it up here without losing a life so that you've got 5 hit points. Certainly an easier way to go about it, but I recommend just becoming a master of his pattern and knowing exactly when to jump and when to punch. And then just tank the final hit, and there you go. Sadly, Skops does not dance. Only Rayman may dance. He celebrates his victory, and Batilla is doing exactly the opposite. But there you have it. The final regular level of the game. You may notice that there is no path forming from this point. The path to the final level doesn't open until we collect every cage in the game. So let's head back and do that now, shall we? The first cages that I had to abandon after the Dream Forest are right here in Bongo Hills. And at least one of these can't be collected the first time through the level. So let's just jump ahead a little bit and go to the 4th area, where the first of the cages is. Not a whole lot of eventful stuff going on in the first 3 scenes, except that they are much, much easier when you have the helicopter power. Otherwise, this area is a little easier, less of a threat of falling to your death anywhere. That I still managed to do anyway. But you've still got lightning flying at you from all sides, and up there is the hook. I'm pretty sure you can get to the hook if you've got a fully powered up fist, even without the helicopter. But tell me how you're supposed to clear that gap without flying. I don't believe it can be done. If it can, then hey, great, you only ever need to go through this level once, potentially. But we'll just go ahead and finish up this area, getting shot at all the while, getting some more fist power-ups here and there. Pretty sure it came here straight after Skops, and I guess there weren't a whole lot of fist power-ups in the first part of the level. Pretty sure I didn't lose a life along the way. Oh well. On to part 5, and this, I think, was probably the most annoying part of the level. That ledge up there is where we need to go, but even if you jump from the Maraca ledge, or whatever that is, you can't get to it. You've already seen this part, only because I've told you and not because I've shown you that if you ride one of these all the way to the bottom, you'll fatally hit the spikes below. Now what you need to do is ride this all the way to the end and get to that ledge over on the left. I believe it's possible to make that jump without using a helicopter and just grab onto the edge of it. But this is the 5th scene in a very, very long level. If you've managed to make it this far, do you really want to take that risk? I sure didn't. Of course, I decided to leave that ting, get hit anyway, go get a health pickup, and then go after the ting and get hit anyway. Yeah, I'm doing things in the right order, I know. So this is just a nice large part of the level that can only be explored if you manage to make that early jump. And from here, it's not possible to get up to that ledge quite yet. Not that it would do us any good to get up there anyway, now that I think about it. Because you can't hit the cage from there. I skipped this passage before, because if you're big, you gotta ride that elevator up and go pretty much nowhere. If you're tiny, you can fit through this gap, and you can fit through this gap, which isn't where I wanted to go at all. Try this again. I should be a lot better at riding elevators after going through the Cave of Skops. Not that you need to get all the tings, but that's the last of the cages for Bongo Hills. And then the cloud takes us right through these pufferfish. And at this point I realized that I've got 99 tings, and I definitely don't want to lose a life and give up 99 tings. So I had to go back and get a couple more, just in case I died before I found another ting, which I did. So, Mr. SAX'S Hullabaloo, you actually can get this cage the first time through, and I just cleverly missed it twice in a row. Having the run power-up is great on these slippery ledges. In fact, I've seen some people do what they claim are Let's Plays, where they just go through the entirety of Bandland with a run power-up. You don't do that. You just don't. I think you can get up those clouds while you're small, but being big makes it so much easier. Then you just go on and finish the level. So Twilight Gulch. This is the last cage in the game that you have to return for after having beaten the level. Because unfortunately, this one requires the run power-up, as well as 3 speed fist power-ups, which I'm going to get just to show you where they are in case you come in here with a fist that isn't powered up enough. Of course, my fist is fully powered, and I can kill these trolls in one jumping punch. You can't believe what a relief that is. So now I've gotten 3 speed fist power-ups, and that makes this jump possible. Not at all easy. And I left every one of my attempts in and just sped it up a little bit so that you could enjoy with me the frustration of trying to get this cage. The hardest part is that you need to jump to the right, helicopter, and keep going to the right, but if you go too far to the right, you'll fall off that ledge and die. And dying on a return to a level to get a cage is just completely pathetic. And very embarrassing. Not that failure to make it up to the ledge is any less embarrassing, but you've seen the comments in the thread, you've heard from the people who have never completed this game. I hope everybody has by now developed an idea of why that is. This is not a game that Ubisoft really encouraged people to be able to beat, I don't think. This game was a ROM hack of itself. What's even funnier is that there's a Rayman level creator where I'm sure you can perform all kinds of dickery. And I have that, and it doesn't work any better than the original PC version did. But it would be fun to play around with it sometime, I'm sure. So that was Twilight Gulch. Mr. Stone's Peaks is next, and like I said in the video where I first beat this level, I just completely spaced. Nice to see the musician again in any case, and it's always fun to fly around with a super helicopter power in this level. Not so much in Pencil Pentathlon, but this is a nice relaxing level. I like it, and especially if you can be patient and take your time and just carefully edge your way along. Get close to the spikes, grab the tings, overtake the truck on the left, Wait, that's a completely different game. And one that I have to admit is much, much harder than this one. So, looks like a bottomless pit, but actually that's the first cage of the level. I noticed, of course, that once you get past this part, you have to descend a little bit further in order to proceed in the level, so it's not a death pit at all. You can even see the ledge on the left if you happen to look in that direction, which I just never did, I suppose. Taking my time, but not so much appreciating the scenery, because I've got my eye on all these stationary spikes and moving spikes and tings that have these little sparkles that look kind of sharp. After a while, you just start seeing dangerous objects everywhere. Everywhere. They stalk you. It's like a living nightmare, only I'm awake. And it's not in my dreams. It's like a real thing that's actually there in the game. All the time. Calming, relaxing, super helicopter. Little scale there. And we come up to the second cage. With, again, what looked like a series of alcoves with bottoms of no interest until you drop down to the one that happens to have the cage in it. And I could have sworn the first or second time through this level I checked each of those alcoves, and somehow just managed never to find that one. And then I started getting impatient because I've got all the cages, I just need to get through the level. Having health would help with that, but apparently not strictly necessary. So let's move on to the final level in the game with any cages that I haven't collected, Space Mama's Crater. And oh boy, this one was a pain. Again, you can get these cages the first time through. So let's just kinda skip ahead to where I do that. And as special guest Zed pointed out in the guest commentary version, the sped up music is really neat. I like it. It's kind of hard to relax when you're going through this level because there's so many drop-offs and so many places where hitting the spikes will kill you. And some tricky jumps over slippery floors, and finally we get to those elevators I pointed out but didn't take in the actual video because one of the cages is up here, along with an exit. Now, of course, you don't have to take that exit. You could get the cage and then take the bottom path like I did in the video. But this is the first time I'd ever actually come up these elevators. Obviously, this is going to be where the other cage is that I had never previously collected, and I tried to jump up to the hook and fell. Not a long fall, though. There's a ledge right below it. So climb up again, and have take 2 of getting the cage. This is probably one of the toughest ones in the game. Because not only do you have to make it to the hook, which is pretty easy, but you have to manage to get to the cage through all of those bouncing eraser thingies. Once that's finally done, you just go ahead and fall down to that ledge, and this time we'll proceed to the left. More hidden hooks. Whoopee! And another complete disaster of a fall. The good news is, I have gotten a lot better at climbing these hooks, and it's not too hard to get up to the top. Will I make it? One jump left, one tricky jump in the whole game, pretty much, and I hope you aren't caught off guard by that exit appearing, because it'll send you to the next level, and you won't be able to get that cage. The good news is, you probably saw it from the other side of the wall, so at least you knew it was there, and if you just wind up your fist from a distance and punch it, you don't have to worry about the exit. Of course, I've been skipping most of the parts of the level that didn't have cages in them simply because, well, you guys have already seen it. But I did want to give you a reminder that what you've seen in these videos is not all that I had to repeat when I came back to get the cages. I had to come back and complete the entirety of each level again. Bongo Hills is almost as long the second time through. It's insane. And I still can't stand on an elevator to save my life. Pretty much literally. But there you have it. You might have seen that path on the right getting constructed, because all of the cages in the game have been opened. And we can reach the Candy Chateau and Mr. Dark's Dare. We'll be taking on the final boss of this game, and saving Matilda the Fairy, and the entire world, in the next episode, the finale of Rayman.